Are we live?
It says live up in the corner, Ethan.
Hi guys.
Wow.
Hi.
Wow.
How's it going? I'm not used to starting these things. Austin. Oh, look, I got a notification saying we're live. Okay.
Oh, wow. Look at that.
Like
Thanks,
just sitting here for 5 minutes in awkward silence. Are we live? No, welcome to the Midwest Horror Canteen, guys. Today we're going to do a little something special. We are going to be talking about the 40th anniversary of John Carpenter's The Thing. It is the 40th anniversary, and we just got done watching the film separately, and we're going to do a little podcast about it because to me, it's one of the best horror films of all time. I can basically talk about this film all day long. I mean, this film to me is like the equivalent to how Austin loves Train to Busan, which I love the film too, but you know, he's got more of a taste for it than I do. So we are going to get right in, and we didn't really come up with any specific things we're gonna like questions we're gonna talk about. We're just gonna talk about whatever and just go with the flow. This is all improv. This is all live. We're getting paid to do this. Not really, but what you know.
I wish.
I have Starbucks as my dinner tonight. So I'm going to be all jittery and wired and roided out and ready to go. So, yeah. So what are we talking about?
The Thing.
No, I know.
What thing?
So this film, you know, I guess I've watched it so many times. I bought the movie on YouTube probably, well, I was still living in Bismarck at this time, probably 4 or 5 years ago, 2017, 2018. And, you know, I don't know what really caught my attention in buying it. I guess it's probably because I was playing. I think it's the reason I started watching it and got hooked on it was because I was playing Dead Space, and when I went on Wikipedia to look up the description of the aliens and whatnot, a lot of references were towards that movie, and so I kind of thought, well, let's check it out. Maybe it's as good as it is. And, you know, obviously John Carpenter, you know, we're both John Carpenter nerds. So, yeah, why not? Bought the whole, well, actually I was starting to watch clips through Movie Clips, which is the YouTube channel. And then finally got myself to buy the whole movie on YouTube because I didn't have Shudder at the time, but I looked on Shudder. I guess you still have to pay money to either rent or buy it. So I kind of thought that, you know, screw it. I just bought it on YouTube. And I was really, really, really impressed with how graphic the movie was, how contorted they made everything with the monster and whatnot, and how every character seems to grow with you, but also how you see everyone in the cast go from friends to enemies, and they don't trust each other anymore. And it's because of this one alien on this lone American base in Antarctica. And so it just, to me, it's one of the best horror movies of all time. That being said, at the time it came out in 1982, Austin, I don't know if you knew about this, but John Carpenter got a lot of flack when that movie came out, because at that time, that was also the same year, like E.T., I think, came out a year before. And the early 80s, late 70s, the early 80s was kind of a time for the happy alien movies, you know what I mean? Even though the movie Alien came out in 79. But they were starting to take a turn towards having like friendly alien movies. So E.T. kind of changed that around. And then a year later, The Thing came out. And John Carpenter nearly ran out of Hollywood for that movie. He said in an interview before, because he didn't take the friendly alien approach. But it's like, in a way, if I was living back then, my whole thing would be, why would people care? Because it's John Carpenter. You know, we know he does horror movies. And And it's like the movie Alien came out like 3 years before The Thing. So in a way, it's like The Thing was more graphic than Alien, in my opinion. But it's like, it's still, I don't see how people were upset with that when the movie Alien is about like a hostile alien out in space trying to hunt the main characters down one by one.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I guess people back then were just being anal over nothing and wanted to take their frustrations out on a guy who was a genius of horror, in my opinion.
Oh yes, agree with you on that statement.
Yeah, but well, and it's funny too because Austin, you yourself weren't really into the movie when you and me watched it together for the first time.
Yeah, I mean, when I first watched with you, yeah, I mean, for me, it was obviously, it takes a little while to get into the story. It's the term slow burn. We use it a lot when we talk about horror movies, but yeah, I mean, it took a while for things really to get going for me to get really like interested and invested. And I mean, overall now, like, I love it. Like, I would easily put it in like top 20 horror films of all time. Easily. Like, it's not even a question anymore. I mean, it's got some of, if honestly, what obviously a lot of people say about it the most is the best practical effects in any horror movie or even just any movie in general.
Oh, I can agree with 100%. Because I mean, everything they used for The Thing, like each character was like just like a mini animatronic. There was no CGI or anything.
And like, I mean, and it sucks too, because like I didn't really get super invested into the film until the scene that still like traumatized me every time I watch this movie. Even I just rewatched it earlier today, the dog scene.
I know. Yeah, I was gonna say I know which scene you're talking about.
Like when that scene happened, man, I mean, you were there because you invited me over to watch the film, but like my jaw was like on the floor, and I was literally like in shock. Like,
I knew that was gonna do that to you because literally it did it to me too. And I'll never forget Austin was like, "What the fuck?" Like the whole time was what? And I'm like, yeah. This is what kind of pulled me into the movie was just the scenes are just graphic. They're honestly, not to get off topic, but I'd say that the latest most graphic movie me and Austin have seen is The Sadness. But they kind of puts The Thing to shame. But The Thing still lives up to it because it's not so much that it's gory, but they made the monster in that movie just so gross looking. Tentacles coming out of nowhere, spider arms, and like an appendage that it's so. John Carpenter did a great job of taking what the 1951 film couldn't do, and
which everything
took it to the next level of horror. Because, well, I mean, you and me watched the 1951 version. We've talked about it. And granted, okay, this was, 1951. That was more of our grandparents' time. If any of them had seen it, they probably would have thought, oh my God, this is like the scariest movie of all time. And looking back, I mean, we were born 40 years after that film came out. It just didn't sit with me the same way as the Carpenter movie. And the characters really don't grow on you in the film, and the monster didn't really stick with me either. It didn't traumatize me in any way.
You see, the monster and the setting are like really the only positives I had about watching The Thing from Another World. I mean, you and I, we already watched the other two films together. So, I mean, obviously I was like, yeah, we should just watch the old one. And I personally, I guess I wouldn't say it's like bad. It's not badly made. It's not really terribly acted. It's just, it didn't hit it like this did with us,
Well, and what I liked about The Thing from Another World was the monster was played by James Arness, who was like the main star in Gunsmoke, which was my father's favorite film. Even I talked to Dad about that. Like, so my Dad, I watched The Thing from Another World, and he instantly knew that, yeah, James Arness plays the monster.
I mean, I like the monster because, of course, early last year I started watching all the Universal monster movies. So that was another reason I wanted to give the movie a shot, because not only do you see it in John Carpenter's Halloween on the television while, Lindsay's sitting there watching it, but it's so many people claim it's, great. Honestly, some people even say it's the best version of this story of The Thing, which, again, obviously you and we would disagree. I mean, obviously, a lot of people look at the Carpenter film as like no pun intended, The Thing.
Yeah, like there was nothing before that. A lot of people don't even realize, second cup of coffee. A lot of people don't even realize that it was all based off of a novel, which I still have on my coffee table. I'm still reading it. Who Goes There, which basically it's funny because the book has the characters from the Carpenter film. So you can kind of see that the 1951 version isn't really based off of the book at all, because it doesn't have the same characters. What I loved about the 1982 version was how you feel like something is going to jump out at you at any time. And I understand with your comment, Austin, that the buildup was very slow. But if you think about it, man, the buildup to it was what really makes up for it. Because if imagine watching that movie 40 years ago in theaters, and you're sitting at the edge of your seat and you're thinking to yourself, something's going to pop out at me at any time. And it doesn't happen. Well, then your anxiety just grows and grows and grows. And when it does pop out at you, it's set at the exact moments, because at that point, people's anxiety goes high and then it starts to decrease. Like, okay, well, nothing's happening. Might as well calm down. And then, bam, the monster comes out of nowhere. John Carpenter did a very good, executed that very well. Which, with you and me, when it comes to jump scares, now they're over the top, cliched, but that movie definitely executed it very well. And that's the problem I had with the 2011 prequel, is that it feels like The Thing was shown a little too much.
Yes.
If you agree with me on that.
But yeah, definitely. Well, now, like, the slow build, I come to appreciate it more, because, I mean, even too, when we first actually, like, watched the film together, like, I was just so confused why there was a helicopter chasing this husky through Antarctica. I was like, I just looked at you, I'm like, what the hell's going on? You're like, just watch. And I'm like, all right. And yeah, it's like 5 minutes of them chasing this dog. Then we start meeting all the characters, McCready and all them guys. You're better with the names, so I'm going to leave that to you.
Okay, so I'll name them all off. So you got Kurt Russell as McCready.
Oh, Childs. He's the other one. He's my
Childs. That's Keith David.
He's my favorite character in that whole movie, dude. I love him.
Yep. Knowles. So basically, I'll name off all the characters and what they do. So McCready is the main character. He's also the pilot. Bennings is the meteorologist. He's the first one to get possessed or assimilated by the thing. I don't know why I said possessed. Wow. Knowles, who is the chef. Childs, who is the mechanic. Palmer, who is the other mechanic. Norris, who is the geologist. Gary, who is the captain, so he's the boss. Blair, who is the biologist. Fuchs, who is the paleontologist. Copper, who is the physician. And then you have Clark, who's the dog handler. And who else am I
Windows
here? Windows, who's the radio operator. So they have 12 characters, and they all have like their different functions, except Childs and Palmer are both mechanics. So it's kind of cool how they all have their different specialty within the film. And to be honest, they all grew on me. What I was kind of surprised about, and I pointed this out to you too when we first watched the film, Clark, who was played by Richard Major, also played the adult Stan in the 1990 It.
Yep.
So I was like, oh, Austin, you might recognize somebody else in this film.
Yep, that's the first thing I think of. I'm like, man, after Derry, like that this is what he went and did.
Yeah, right.
Man, you're having a rough time there, buddy.
I can see why he could. He went from one thing to another.
Literally, he went from an it to he went from a thing to an it.
To an it. Yep.
Like,
so
yeah, man,
how he committing suicide was probably in his best interest.
Well, I mean, damn, either that or he got shot in the head. Like, man, which way you want to go?
Well, my question is, which character? So, okay, Childs is your favorite. You said. Mm-hmm. Why is that?
I think it's just because he kind of relates to me, I guess, a little more personally. Because he's not afraid to just say what needs to get said. He's an asshole. He's an asshole. Like, exactly. Like he's a smart ass. Like he'll call people out on their bullshit, and I like that. Like that's just a character I like.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't mind McCready. Kurt Russell's a great actor.
Oh, I love Kurt Russell.
There's just things in his performance to me that are just like a tad stale. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's not really like a negative. It's just I don't resonate with his character as much as I do with like Childs.
Right.
And I cannot remember what his name is. Obviously, I'm sure you'll let me know. But the bald like ginger guy,
Bennings.
Yeah, I don't know what it was about this time, man. I didn't like him. He was really kind of annoying.
Well, Bennings, that's probably why he was like the first one to get assimilated. Although I will admit though, like Bennings, what made up for it was the way he like after he's assimilated, how he looks into the camera and his eyes are wide and he just starts making that growl. Mm-hmm. That haunted me for days, that scene.
Yeah, it's easily one of the most effective scenes in the whole film.
It is because it's like you can see in his hands that he didn't get a chance to fully assimilate. So like it's almost like the monster is roaring in frustration because he got exposed. Mm-hmm. I'd say my favorite character would probably who I relate to most is Windows. Okay. Windows is kind of my favorite because he kind of wears, with me with like aviator sunglasses or like those little, what do you call them? The circular ones.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I know what you're talking about.
I can't remember the name. I can't remember the name of it, but like, I like wearing those and I kind of, Windows, I kind of look at as being like the innocent goofball of the group. Mm-hmm. And that's why I kind of can relate to him a little bit, especially when the scene where he, after seeing Bennings get assimilated, he drops the keys, and a lot of people miss that part. But you can hear the keys hitting the floor, and when, by the way, guys, if you're watching this and you don't want spoilers, I probably would suggest maybe turning it off because we are going to kind of go into spoilers here if you haven't seen the film. But Windows then becomes paranoid, and then remember he runs to that case where the shotguns are.
Yep.
Because he realizes when the cabinet with all the blood samples were vandalized, he realized that, oh shit, somebody took the keys from when I dropped them, opened up that locker and then emptied out all the blood samples. And now he's kind of in a oh shit moment, like this is kind of my fault that happened. And I guess I kind of just I like Windows because he's just kind of like the hippie of the group. He's kind of like I don't know, like he takes his job seriously, but he doesn't. So, and not only that, but like I could see myself if I worked on a base like that. My job that I think I'd like the most is operating radio.
Yeah.
That's just kind of like what I'm doing right now. It almost kind of feels like I'm doing like a radio job, even though it's like a video podcast, but you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Well, definitely. I mean, to me, there are good characters. To me, there's some like weaker characters in the film, but I mean, they don't take away from really anything that's going on. I mean, the characters, like their interactions all feel like very organic to me, you know.
What do you mean by organic?
Like it literally feels like, you know, how can I really work it? To me, it's like when I compare it 1990 to it 2017, like I feel like the kids in the 1990 film are like legit friends. Like, so to me, that feels like an actual organic friendship. So like it genuinely feels like, you know, all these guys are, you know, actually really close. They all work together very well, and now they don't know what's going on. So now they're all getting just
against each other.
They're paranoid. They don't know who they can trust, who they can't trust. They're all just kind of all go do their own thing. And that's the obviously it's going to be the pun of the entire podcast, so I might as well just keep going with it. That's the thing I like about I know. It's the thing all right, I'll shut up now. But that's what I like about this film is, you know, not only just one of my guilty pleasures with certain horror movies is, you know, the isolated incidents. I mean, it's a bigger area, but, you know, it's not like, you know, when you watch like Don't Breathe or The Strangers or anything like that, how it's literally this more confined place.
Mm-hmm.
There's plenty of places you can go on this base, but I mean, still, you're not going to get away.
And well, exactly.
And like the fear raises even higher later on, you know, when you see Blair, he's destroying all the stuff inside the offices.
Yeah, the radio room.
And he's also destroying the helicopter and stuff. So like now it's like, okay, you know, now these guys are trapped. They cannot get away. They literally are stuck here with this creature, with whoever it ends up being. It's one of the things that makes this film just so.
You did it again.
I know it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. I can't help it. But it's what I like the most about this film is it's just you're thinking the same thing these guys are the whole time. Like, who's the thing? Like, who's gonna die next? Who's gonna transform? Like, the big question? What the hell are they gonna transform into?
See, that's the thing. Yep, that's the thing.
You did it too.
God. Yeah, we're just gonna stop this podcast.
All right, guys, have a good night. Sorry.
I'm just kidding. Wait a minute. You didn't think that the kids in the It remake, you didn't think they had a genuine friendship?
I mean, if you want to look at it like nowadays, I would believe it, but like for the time era it's supposed to be in, I don't think kids would really actually be like that.
Yeah, because what the remake takes place when they're kids, it's in the 89. Yeah, or somewhere around there. Yeah. I can kind of see that because obviously the novel in the miniseries takes place the novel in 1957 and then 1960. So I mean, obviously kids were probably more disciplined back then. I don't know. Everyone in the 80s and even now are like more rebellious, so I can see that. Well, you know, and that's the thing. Oh my God. See, I didn't even mean to do it that time. I really didn't.
I know.
You're right. This is gonna be hard.
Right.
Well, you know, I was gonna say it again.
I picked a great topic.
Yeah, we did.
Oh God. Anyway.
You never know at what points in the film that the characters are the thing, unless it's like Bennings, who you see get assimilated on screen, and then like Palmer and Norris, I think I have a clue of when they get assimilated at the beginning, or yeah. But the biggest one was Blair. Like, we never find out or kind of have a clue of when Blair was assimilated by the Thing, because many people speculate it's after the character, like Mac, locks him up in the tool shed, that during that blackout at in the main building, that's when he got assimilated, was when the fuse went out, or before, when he locked himself in his office and then he started to smash up the radio and the helicopter, and then started vandalizing the killed the dogs. So he basically trapped everyone at the base with no escape. And then the skid steers, he vandalized some of those, which, in all honesty, I mean, if you kind of remember near the end when they find that spaceship underneath the tool shed,
Yep.
that kind of makes me think that maybe he was assimilated, like while he was locked up in his room, when Fuchs points that out. Oh, Fuchs. Yeah, no, I did point out Fuchs as a character. I'm sorry. Anyway, when Fuchs points out that Blair is locked up in his room, that's probably the time he was assimilated. But it also makes me think he probably was assimilated after they locked him in the tool shed, because of how weird he was acting when Mac asked him if he saw Fuchs, and he was like, I want to go inside. And he was like all calm and saying, I'm much better. I just want to come inside. You got to let me come inside. And you could see like on Mac's face, like he seems like he's kind of off.
Yeah,
if you remember that part. So that's the biggest thing that I caught myself that time. That frustrates me, is like, I don't know when Blair was assimilated. That's the biggest mystery in the film and according to John Carpenter, he knows exactly who or at what time everyone was assimilated.
I mean, it would make sense. Obviously, I believe he wrote the screenplay for this too.
He did.
Okay.
He did, but he even told everybody when he dies, he's going to take that secret to the grave. I don't think he's ever going to reveal it.
Good.
Of when everyone was assimilated, which honestly, it's like, damn you, Carpenter. But in the same sense, I like that because it has that.
It's genius. It adds the mystery.
It's genius. It keeps a mystery that it's like, well, maybe it needs to stay a mystery.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't need to be explained. Us as the audience, we just kind of leave that up to our imagination.
Yeah, it would ruin the suspense. It would ruin the mystery.
It would ruin the suspense. Whereas in the 2011 one, yeah, I got that feel too. Like well, actually, I should take that back. The prequel, they didn't put in a lot of mystery in that movie. You kind of knew at what time and when everyone was assimilated. I didn't feel like I was, because the monster was popping up at several times in the movie. So I never got that feel of, what's going to happen next, because I kind of had an idea already.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, I'm one of the few people who defends that film. I really enjoy it. Obviously, it's not anywhere near close to this film, but to me, it has a lot of the same feels this film has. It's, for me, I guess personally, it has more of the mystery of like, okay, who's the thing, what's the thing, all that stuff. The characters, I like most of the characters. Obviously, for me, the biggest thing overall is, for everybody, is the CGI in this movie.
The CGI was just terrible.
Terrible. There was way too much, like you said, like they show a lot of the thing in the
monster, yeah.
And that's what makes this film so great, because you see it. I don't even know. I'm just gonna take a rough guess. Probably 20 to 30 minutes into the film is the first time you see the creature, and then again you don't see it again for like another 20 to 30 minutes again, and then obviously it starts to get a little closer each time. Like, oh, it's like 15 minutes, then like 10 minutes, and then you have the whole final scene where you got Childs and McCready just sitting there at the burnt base, and they're just like, so what now? Guess we just sit here and wait. It's like, damn.
Well, and see, that's the mystery too, is that we don't know at the end if we know that Mac, I don't think, is assimilated.
He's the one I honestly, even just this last time watching it here, like, I swear I could have swore he was the thing for like a vast portion of this film.
Was that before or after the blood test?
Even before the blood test, because like words, God, they hurt today. What I've kind of noticed about watching it, when you kind of want to maybe point out who the Thing possibly is, it's kind of a bad, analogy, but I'm just going to say it anyway. It's like looking at Michael Myers. It's how Loomis describes him, the blank, pale, emotionless face, because it seems like all the people who are there, they're quiet. They don't really want to say much. And they just have this just dead set look, and they just have no emotion or anything on their face.
Well, that's not McCready.
Well, I mean, for most of the film, yeah, there are some parts where I looked at him, and that was just my thought for like ever in this film. Even the first time I watched him, like, it's got to be Kurt Russell. It's got to be Kurt Russell. But
well, to be honest, I will admit that would have been a nice twist at the very end. Like, Kurt Russell just kind of reveals that he was the monster the whole time from when the Husky arrives on base, and then got assimilated some time. But in the same sense, though, I really think it was more Childs who was the assimilated one, which a lot of people can agree, because Childs, if you kind of remember right before they saw like Knowles and Gary and Mac saw him run out of the base. And that was literally after they discovered that Blair had gone missing from the tool shed. And then they do like a point of view inside the base in the hallways, and it shows the back door to the base was open, meaning that Blair broke in and probably assimilated Childs before the final confrontation, before they go down to the generator room and they're about to blow that up. And I totally agree with people. It's got to be Childs. And I kind of, the reason I think that is because you remember how Mac hands him the bottle to drink? Mm-hmm. Everyone was saying that was kerosene that he drank, because if you notice, Mac himself doesn't drink it. And when Childs drank it, because the Thing probably can't distinguish what tastes like what. So, and that's kind of how, if you see, Mac kind of laughs, thinking that, oh, okay, I got you now, you bastard. Like, confirming that Childs was the Thing.
Well, there's a comic. It takes place immediately after this. It's called Frozen Hell.
Okay.
And
I don't think I've heard of that one. No.
It's not a very long issue. I think it's only maybe like I can't remember if it's 1 or if it's like 4. It's somewhere in between there, but they show, I don't remember who it is, but one of the guys like runs, and they kind of end up meeting like the creatures and the aliens and stuff. They end up going to like look for the spaceship and everything.
Is it Mac?
I don't remember. I'm gonna have to look here. It's gonna bother me. You keep talking. I'll find out.
I don't know what to talk about. No. Well, when did this comic come out?
I don't know. Frozen Hell, book by John W. Campbell. Wait, what? The book. This isn't it. Here.
Are you sure it's called Frozen Hell? Why don't we do this? Why don't we type in the Frozen comic?
Well, here it is right here.
Oh, you. Oh, okay. Now, when was that issued? John Campbell Jr. Why does that sound familiar? What else did he work on?
He's the author of the Thing.
Oh, from the original. Okay, yeah, duh. I'm sorry. Well, I'm assuming that this was published before the 1982 film. Because you got to remember, when John Campbell wrote that book, that was Who Goes There? That was in 1927. Mm-hmm. He probably would have been dead or really old by that point.
Thing comic. We'll do this. Oh. Oh, we're on the Thing wiki. Okay. Anyway. The Thing from Another World. Look at that.
Right. But that's not the comic.
No.
Oops.
Oh, I think it is here. Issue 1, after the destruction of U.S. Post 30. What the hell happened here? My God. Sorry. Anything. What's going on? After the destruction of U.S. Post 31 by a shape-shifting extraterrestrial creature, survivors McCready and Childs make it to the Antarctic coastline. The latter attempted to return to the outpost, which McCready is found and picked up by the crew of the Japanese whaling ship, the Misaki Maru. So yeah, this is it here, the thing from another world.
Okay. But I wonder, is that supposed to be canon to Carpenter's? I'm guessing.
I'm not really sure. Oh, it's from early like 1990, 1991, 1992.
Oh, okay. Okay. So, yeah, so it probably would have to be.
So look, from the looks of it, it's only 2 issues.
Is that Norris?
Oh, wow. This is really as big as it'll get.
Is it small on your side?
Yeah, extremely. Huh. Interesting. Yeah, because there's Who Goes There. That's the one that started it.
Right.
Then there's The Thing, the novelization. So I'd assume that's probably the what's it called? Totally spaced out. Wow. Sorry.
we can't think of words today, guys. We're sorry.
Yeah, it's been a day already. So this says now it's 4 issues. Oh, it's from Dark Horse Comic too. Interesting.
Okay. Well, Campbell worked with Dark Horse Comic. That's pretty legit.
Right. So yeah.
Well, now I'm curious to kind of read that sometime.
Yeah, I would assume it wouldn't be too hard to find.
It depends on if it was a good sell or not. I don't know. Maybe not.
Maybe. So I guess a question that I would have for you for this, because I mean, obviously, you and I, we've talked about this film a couple of times. I mean, you basically know this film like the back of your hand.
I do.
It's obviously, I can't remember if it's like your second favorite horror movie of all time. I can't really remember right now.
Yeah, it's around there.
But what would you say, like, out of every single horror film that you've ever seen, this does the best besides obviously, the practical effects?
So you're asking me what movie would have better practical effects?
No, what does this film do for you as a horror fan that other horror films that we've watched over the years, what it does the best that makes it so whatever iconic or whatever for you?
Well, I think it's what I just pointed out. Everything they did for the monster was all puppeteering. No computerization, no CGI. It was literally just animatronics. What made it so effective, this horror movie for me, was just like I said. It goes back to the suspense, where you don't know who is the thing, you don't know who is assimilated at what time, and what makes it effective is that the audience can, in a way, put themselves in the character's shoes, because nobody ever wants to feel secluded with a violent monster that's coming to take over your body and try to rule over humanity. The effectiveness I would have is just it's the mystery. It's not knowing. It's trying to expect the unexpected, but the unexpected is still unexpected. You know what I mean? It's like you want to expect the unexpected, but it's like it's still hard to grasp because of the timing and what I guess the timing and what boy, I can't get it out. the timing and like the mystery of, I guess the effectiveness too is that they never explain on where the monster comes specifically. Yeah, you do have the prequel movie, but I kind of consider that non-canon, even though it is canon. I kind of leave it non-canon, and I don't think even Carpenter really considers it canon either, because it doesn't kind of give a clue of where the monster, what planet it comes from, its origin story. It doesn't actually ever describe its true form. And that's the effectiveness of having a cliffhanger, but with no solid ending. That's what's effective to me. And this, the special effects are the other one. The part where Copper is giving Norris CPR, and then his gut opens up with these big razor sharp teeth and just clenches Copper's arms off. And then Norris's, the alien pops out of his stomach as this big grotesque, look-alike of Norris. And then Norris's head comes off and forms these spider arms and these two eyeballs that pop out. You would never see that in too much in today's terms, because that would be too expensive. That would be CGI'd. And if they ever do a reboot of the 1982 one, that's what's going to make me upset, is that that they're just going to use the CGI to do everything that the animatronics already did in the original film. They're going to take the CGI is going to take over what the animatronics did so well. And many people are going to love that. And for everybody who grew up in that generation are going to hate it. You and me didn't grow up in that generation, but we certainly do respect the effort that they put in to that film compared to now with computers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I've compared it when we were talking before. I mean, it's like comparing all these new Jurassic World movies with the original Jurassic Park. I mean, that's why the original is so superior, because of the animatronics, the practical effects of it. I mean, just because CGI can look nice and your wildest dreams could come true, and your imagination can run wild, I'd rather see something that looks more realistic, and I'll feel a lot more invested.
Yes, I do agree with you on that. Like, yeah, it doesn't follow. I don't know. Well, I'll ask you that same question. What are your thoughts on that?
So for me, it's kind of how you worded it, but I'm going to word it differently. It's like the mystery or the fear of the unknown. Like, you're constantly asking questions the whole time. Like, like I said, fucking like 20 times already, like, who's the thing? When's the thing going to pop out? Like, what's it going to do? What's it going to turn into? And then, like, when you get just these characters interacting for like 20 minutes and they're all paranoid and stuff, like, you're even wondering too, like, you see everybody in the background, you're like, what is the thing thinking of? Like, is it just that they're enjoying watching these guys tear each other apart? Is it just going to wait for its moment to strike? Like, what is it really? What is its purpose of being here?
Well, and it's funny too, because like I've noticed with, depending on the thing, which one it is, like, it doesn't hesitate to kill its own kind. So like when, the Norris's spider head thing pops up into view, and Palmer's the first one Palmer's already assimilated at that point, but he's like, you gotta be fucking kidding. He's the first one to notice that his own monster is crawling away, and then McCready burns it. It's kind of amazing how, like, the monster is not hesitant to turn on its own just to stay alive. So that's also an effective tool too. It's like the monster itself is just, it doesn't care. It's solely for self-preservation. It doesn't care about its other organisms, as long as one of them gets away, which that was the case with the dog thing when it came to the Site 34.
Yeah, Well, because I mean, I've talked about it with you. You know, they are going to do a remake of this Carpenter film,
I know.
which I'm with you. I mean, I feel like that's exactly what they're going to do too. They're just going to do CGI. They're not going to like take the time to actually, do the story the way it was. Obviously, again, what makes this film easily the best out of, I guess, what you can quote unquote call it a franchise at this point now.
Yes.
I mean, you're not going to top it. Like if you go straight practical effects and you can at least have this on par with this film, okay, I'll give you the credit. I probably won't like it as much because to me these characters, again, the characters are what make the films and make you invested in the story and everything. So honestly, too, even another thing I thought of.
Another thing
I thought of, yeah, thing two. Like literally, like the thing too. Like there's that scene where Blair is in his office or the lab or whatever, and it's got the picture of like the cells and they're attacking the dog's cells and like turning it into itself.
Yep.
And it says within like
27,000 hours.
Yeah. The whole planet will be like taken over by this creature.
Mm-hmm.
It's honestly something I'd like to see. Like either do a sequel, pick up right after this film. I mean, obviously, you don't need to follow, McCready or Childs, whoever would end up, doing it, or whether they both come back and do the film again. But I would honestly weirdly like to see almost like a post-apocalyptic kind of thing world.
Like have Kurt Russell come back, 40 years older as McCready.
Like, how can I word this?
He'd be like the only one too, obviously, because
mix the thing with like Escape from New York kind of deal.
It kind of, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of how I look at it in a weird way.
I think Kurt Russell would probably do it. And I think all the cast members except for Wilford Brimley are all still alive. But, they're all dead, so I mean they wouldn't have no cause in it really. But I do like the ideology of that. So we talked about the video game before for the PlayStation 2?
No.
But have you and me ever like kind of talked about it like off camera?
No.
Okay. Well, see, I didn't even realize that was a video game until after I bought the film. And obviously by the time I did, I already had a PlayStation 4. So, I'm already 2 consoles ahead.
Yeah.
But what I'd like to do after we're done with this podcast is look at the gameplay footage, because I heard it is pretty much like playing like a Resident Evil game a little bit, except with a flamethrower, with no pistols and shotguns and whatnot.
Just a flamethrower?
Just a flamethrower, yeah. I mean, there might be some more weapons, I don't know, but for the time being, I can't imagine what else you could fight the thing with, because its main weakness is fire. So
I'm interested.
Well, look it up on YouTube when we're done here. Like, look up some gameplay footage. I mean, obviously, I don't know if you'd be able to find it because PlayStation 2 servers are offline now. They have been for quite some years, but you can still see some YouTuber playing that sometime. You're looking it up now, aren't you?
Just to be prepared.
And you do play as McCready again.
Thing. Video game. Look at that. There's a full playthrough.
How long is it?
4 hours and 4 minutes.
Wow.
Yes, I think we will have to watch some of this right after we're done here because I'm interested now.
Right.
I mean, the graphics look really bad, but
it's PlayStation 2.
I know, but still. So if you could really, whether it's a nitpick or anything, do you have any negatives about the thing?
Not that any come to mind right now. I was going to point out at the end there whatever happens to like Nulls, because it doesn't show. He's the only character where it doesn't show either him getting assimilated or him getting killed. So it always kind of wonders what happened. But then again, it's like I said, it's kind of one of those mysteries again that you don't really need to be that you don't really need to find out about. It's there. Just leave it there, and that's all. Apparently, he was supposed to. The part where the Blair thing pops out of the floor. Austin?
Yes, I'm here. I'm trying to think about it.
Where the Blair, the thing pops out of the floorboard right before Mac blows up the whole base. Apparently, Knowles was supposed to pop out with the thing, screaming for help, but then they cut it out for some reason, and I don't remember the main reason why. But
that's stupid.
It is kind of dumb. But what about you? Well, can you find any negatives?
Really, it's just that one character, but that's more of like a nitpick for me, I guess. Like
which one, Knowles?
No, Bennings.
McCready? Bennett? Well, Bennings was already dead. Oh yeah, okay, I see what you mean.
Yeah, like I don't know what it is. Just the way he was talking, the way he was saying things, I was just like, dude, stop.
You're racist against white people with red hair?
Sure.
You're a... I don't know where I was going with that.
I really don't know either.
But I just can't really think of anything negative. I guess the only negative thing I can think of is how people, ran Carpenter out of Hollywood for it. How negative that was. And if I could slap everybody who did that, I could go back in time and slap everybody who did that, I would.
Well, that's the thing, a lot of people, I know, I did it again. I'm not even thinking about it anymore, but John Carpenter, I mean, for a lot of people, like, he is film-wise, like, the master of horror. I mean,
yes, he is.
I personally haven't seen a bad John Carpenter film. I mean, I obviously, I have more nostalgia and more love for Halloween because it's one of my favorite movie franchises ever, but, like...
God, you never shut up about that movie.
I can't help it. It's fucking amazing. But, like, I would say this. While Halloween is easily my favorite John Carpenter movie, one of my favorite horror movies, one of my favorite movies of all time, I would probably say this is John Carpenter's overall, like, best film he's ever done.
Mm-hmm.
On terms of just everything,
Well,
I like, too, there's honestly not really much of, like, music in here either. Like, it's really just that first part when they're chasing the dog, and then just kind of bits and pieces throughout. You just hear like this.
I love that though. That's creepy.
It is. It's atmospheric.
Especially the creepy part where when Bennings and Windows are moving all that supplies in the closet, and they're moving the two-headed thing on that table. And then when like they both turn their back towards it, you can see it move under the blanket.
Yep. And
that music plays. Like the first time seeing that, I was like, "Oh!" Like that was effective. I love that. Just that low bass. That whole soundtrack is just awesome.
Mm-hmm.
What's so funny though is like how little special effects Carpenter needed in Halloween versus this film. He basically went from no special effects to special effects.
Right? Yeah. And then, you see his, like, later films and, like, his very last film, that Ghosts of Mars, like...
What are you talking about? That was his best film. I still can't believe you didn't know that Big Trouble in Little China was his film, too.
I'm just so used to him doing, like, horror movies, so, like, I didn't know he did a whatever he
that is a horror movie.
Shut up. What? No, it's not. You're laughing. Never mind. I do still want to watch it because, like, that's one thing I really want to do overall. I want to watch all of John Carpenter's films.
Well, it has Walter in it from Tremors.
Oh yes, we talked about that during the Tremors
podcast. and James Hong, he's in it too.
Kurt Russell's in that too, right?
Yep, he's the lead role.
Okay, because I know when I watched Escape from New York, like, man, there were so many people in that film, like I've seen in other Carpenter movies, like obviously Kurt Russell, he's in there. You even have Donald Pleasance in there, and he's the president.
I forgot that Donald Pleasance was actually in that movie.
Even The Fog, like when I watched The Fog, which I guess I don't know if you ever watched.
Was Donald? No, I'm thinking of The Mist by Stephen King, but that's
no. The Fog has it doesn't have Donald Pleasance. It's got Jamie Lee Curtis in there. It's got Tom Atkins. It's got Nancy Loomis. She's in there. The girl who plays oh my God, what's her name now? Sheriff Brackett's daughter. Why is it escaping? Annie. Yeah, she's in there. There's somebody else from one of the other Halloween movies in there too.
Is Charles Cypher in it too?
Yeah, that's who it is. Charles Cypher's in there too.
Okay.
But they're not. Oh, Janet Leigh. Janet Leigh's in there too.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Like it's a star-studded cast.
It sounds like it.
Not a bad film if you haven't watched it. It's definitely better than the 2007 remake.
Well, dang it. When you come to Fargo or I come to Bismarck, we're going to have a Carpenter marathon.
I'd be okay with that.
I'd say everything except for the Halloween movies, because we've watched those several times, but everything, like, we probably don't even have to watch The Thing too. Just like everything besides The Thing and Halloween.
Yeah, I mean, there's a movie called Vampires he did. Big Trouble in Little China.
Did he do Lost Boys?
No, he did not do Lost Boys.
He didn't do Lost Boys?
That's, I believe that's Joel Schumacher.
Don't even get me started.
Is it Joel Schumacher? That's the guy who did
Batman and Robin.
Yeah, okay, that is him then. Yeah,
and Batman Forever.
Yeah, that's right.
Those are the real best ones. Yeah.
Easily. Yeah, The Thing. 5 stars.
I was going to give it 10 stars, but I guess if you're going off of Internet Movie Database, then it would be 5 stars. No, wait, they give 10 stars, right? Yeah, they do.
No, it's 5.
It is 5. Yeah,
it is 5.
Well, it's pretty much an hour here. I don't think I have anything really to cover on it, except, it's an honor to kind of do this, being the 40th birthday for the movie. And I think it deserves a lot more credit than it has been, especially when it came out, when the audience hated it because it wasn't like E.T. So I don't know. People are just so confusing.
Yeah, because I know, that's one thing I know about this film is, when this first came out in 82, people just hated it. And now it's literally considered one of, if literally not the single best horror film of all time.
Yes. And I hope it stays that way.
I think with the legacy it's done, I think with how, people have received it, and obviously, the 2011 prequel and this upcoming, whenever it decides to come out, remake of this film. I mean, it's not going to get topped. Again, with the animatronics, practical effects, story, characters, everything, it's the setting. It's not going to get beat.
It's going to get topped by the people who haven't seen the original. But then again, that, their opinion right there doesn't really count. It does, but it doesn't, because they haven't researched into it much. If that makes sense.
Yeah. It's like trying to compare two of people liking which version?
Star Trek and Star Wars.
Sure. Star Trek geeks suck. I actually wouldn't know. I'd like to give Star Trek a try. I'll willingly say that. I've never watched it.
I don't think it's going to pull you in.
No, probably not. How invested I am in this, probably not. It'll probably be a little boring for me. But it's like trying to compare the 1999 Frankenstein movie with the original with Boris Karloff and Colin Clive from 1932. And
was the 99 one with Robert De Niro as the monster? Yep.
Yeah, that's the one that actually follows the novel where
Like that's how the monster looked like originally. It didn't have the bolts in the neck with the square head
Yeah.
and whatnot. Yeah.
But again, you can't deny it. Boris Karloff easily is the best Frankenstein. It's a tie between the original Frankenstein and Bride of Frankenstein, which one's really the best film of them all. But
You know what really drives me nuts is when people say Frankenstein, they literally are calling the monster Frankenstein. It's like, no, the doctor is Frankenstein. The monster has no name.
the monster is the monster.
The monster's the monster. That drives me nuts. I don't know why.
It literally says it in the opening title because that's back when the credits were in the beginning of the film.
Yes.
And they just literally ended with the end.
Yep. So it always it's like, oh, this is Frankenstein. No, it's Frankenstein's monster. The monster has no name.
I mean, man,
Frankenstein is the doctor.
Don't get me wrong. Growing up, I thought the same thing because, like, my first literal introduction to Frankenstein was Alvin and the Chipmunks meet Frankenstein.
Yep.
Same thing with the Wolfman. Alvin and Chipmunks meet the Wolfman.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, growing up now, I have a love for the Universal monsters. Honestly, I would even love to dedicate a whole podcast to them because they're just so iconic. Most of the films are amazing, especially in the original line of monsters.
Yes.
So good.
Yep, I will agree with you on that. Alvin and the Chipmunks meets what was it, the Wolfman?
Yeah.
That was a good film too.
So good.
But other than that, buddy, I don't have anything else.
Yeah, I kind of don't either. I actually thought this was going to be one that would go for quite a while, but yeah, I mean, again, somebody who's not as knowledgeable with the film, I've come to really like and appreciate the film. Again, I would easily consider it top 20 horror films for me personally.
Top 10.
Top 10 for Ethan, obviously. A lot of people, the top of the list of horror films. It's just a classic. If you guys haven't seen it, I would highly suggest you guys go see it. If you want, I'm not saying to do it, but you could give the 2011 prequel a chance if you guys want.
Well, the thing is, I would still watch the 2011 because, yes, it still ties into the story. But what I would do is watch the 82 version first.
Yes.
Then watch the prequel.
Yes, I would agree with that.
Yeah, don't do it in reverse. It won't make you take the 82 film as serious.
Yeah. Well, guys, I think that's gonna actually do it for the podcast today.
Yeah, but honestly, though, I mean, I covered all I wanted to cover.
I didn't have much to cover, so I just left everything to you this time. So,
you bastard, you cheeky bastard.
Right. So, all right, guys, that is going to do it for episode 11 of the Midwest Horror Central podcast. As usual, you guys, hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure you guys stay tuned when we come back for some more. We're hoping to get some guests to come on here pretty soon.
Yep, very soon. I've got a couple people lined up, and Austin, I think you have a couple.
I'm looking into lining up a few people. Hopefully, if they got some time in their schedules, I'm hoping to bring some people on here too. So
okay,
but I'll keep you guys updated on that. And I suppose, as usual, with that being said, make sure you guys hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll see you in the next one.
Later, guys.